just so if there's any sound, if you want to chat, you certainly can unmute yourself. I'm assuming, Dani, you'll have some time for questions if people have questions specifically. So we'll see. But yes, so we are thrilled to have Dani Williamson here. She is an amazing functional medicine practitioner here in Franklin. I first met Dani about 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And she helped me with Hashimoto's. I've got autoimmune thyroid issues. I don't say disease, I just say issues.
Right. Dysfunction a little bit, not disease. We don't say disease.
Condition. Right.
Yeah.
A condition.
Yeah.
But she has been instrumental. And then my husband told me I had to go to somebody who took our insurance. And it got to the point where I was waking up with burning arms in the middle of the night and just in tears. And I said, I don't care what it costs. I don't care. I need to go to somebody who understands this because this is affecting my mental well-being, my physical well-being. And so I found my way back to Dani. So she is truly a gem and full of knowledge and resources and looks at wellness and health differently than a lot of people. So Dani, we are so honored that you're here with us.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for the invite. I didn't know you were doing these. Of course, usually Thursday at noon, I'm working, right? Seeing patients. So I don't know what's going on during the week out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's such an unprecedented time that it has brought forth some interesting challenges and some interesting opportunities, so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what are we talking about today? What are we doing? I know you had something in mind.
Yeah.
What we were doing. She said, we're just talking. I'm like, what? I have a whole lot of words. I wasn't voted most talkative for nothing in high school, but I like to kind of know what we're talking about. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got my Relax Max I'm drinking here to try to calm down, and my hot tea so I don't get COVID-19 trying to break up all the mucus in there, So anyway, what are we doing? Because I'm ready.
Yeah, I've gone to a lot of functional medicine places and researched and studied this stuff for a while. I think there's a lot of things right now that people can do to keep themselves healthy.
You bet.
And if you want to share some of that, I know you've got your 6 basic steps too. Dani's writing a book that is going to be a bestseller, undoubtedly. So I think what 5 things would you say, or 6 things would you say people need
6 steps to healing.
Right. So what would you say people need to do during this time to maintain optimal health?
Yeah. So what you want to do, right, with any time during the year, not just during flu season or COVID-19 season, right? You want to build your immune system year round, right? Angela, I see you shaking your head over there. Year round. This is something that should have never caught us off guard, immune system wise. There are things that we couldn't control, but we should 365 days a year work on building your immune system. And that's what we do in this office. Anyway, we deal with a tremendous amount of autoimmune disease patients in here. I don't get, the healthiest of the healthiest patients in here. Many times we get the sickest of the sickest, and then we just bring them back, hopefully, wean them back to health over there. And so we work on building the immune system all year long. I work on 6 steps with patients that, unbeknownst to me, build your whole, when I started this, I know now through the decade of practicing, but all these steps build your immune system. And the 6 steps that I work on in this office are, number 1, first and foremost, are eat well, sleep well, move well, poop well, decrease stress, and then cultivate community, just like what you guys have done over at Epic Yoga, right? Those 6 steps: eat well, sleep well, move well, poop well, decrease stress, and have community. Every single bit of that builds your immune system up, helping prepare you for whatever is down the road. So that's where we start. And I can talk about each of them and what I do if you want, and my suggestions on eating well, which I think is the key. And many of you don't know my story. I spent 24 years seeing doctors. I was diagnosed at age 20 with irritable bowel syndrome. I had my first colonoscopy at 20. I'm 54 now. And from 20 to 44, I saw 3 different gastroenterologists, 3 colonoscopies, endoscopies, all kinds of things, chronic diarrhea, bloating, gas, gurgling. Then I itched for years, itched for years, multiple dermatologists. Nobody's connecting the health of the gut with the health of the skin, right? And then I was diagnosed with lupus, with an autoimmune disease when I was about 35. That was a booger of a diagnosis. And then I got depressed over all of that, and I was put on antidepressants. 24 years of seeing doctors, age 20 to 44. It took 24 years before a doc ever leaned into me and said, Dani, what are you eating? Do you know your diet controls your symptoms? And mine was joint pain in the hands, and bloating and diarrhea. Do you take digestive enzymes and probiotics, and do you know your food sensitivities? And that turned my entire world around 10 years ago. It changed the whole trajectory of my life. It changed the trajectory of my patients' lives, because that's where we start, is your gut, right? And if you're eating packaged, processed, bagged, canned, tubed, fake, man-made food that was made in a plant and didn't come from a plant, or a lean fish, chicken, lamb, turkey, it's fake food. If you're opening it up out of a box, a bag, a can, you're creating systemic inflammation in your body and lowering your immune system. It is as simple as that. We've known it for thousands of years. I'm not recreating the wheel. If you know anything about the Bible, you know about the Daniel fast. Daniel knew this 2,500 years ago, before I ever realized it clearly, and even before Hippocrates, right, who is the father of medicine, who says all disease begins in the gut, 2,000 years ago. So that's the first thing we do to build your immune system, is to get you off of immune killing foods. And those foods are gluten, dairy, soy, corn, sugar, eggs, and peanuts. Those are the top 7 inflammatory foods in the country. We've known that for decades. Not everybody has a peanut sensitivity or a corn sensitivity or even a dairy sensitivity, quite frankly, but dairy builds it. During this COVID-19 season, you don't want any dairy whatsoever in your diet. No cheese, no yogurt, no sour cream, no butter. This is a respiratory illness. This is a respiratory illness that people drown from. They die from their mucus. That's what it is. It's a mucoid disease that you can't get rid of the mucus. And essentially the reason people are dying from this, even on a respirator, is you're drowning to death. What is dairy? Thick, gunky cow snot. That's all it is. It is nothing but thick, gunky cow snot. Annette, I say, if you are eating cheese, and I was at Whole Foods, I have not been to the grocery in over a week until today, and I walked by the cow snot, the cow pus counter today, and people are standing over there, and I'm thinking, Of course, they don't want me around grocery stores, because I just want to take things out of people's hands. But dairy, no dairy whatsoever, for sure right now, until we get over this, because if you get sick, we need to have maximum lung capacity, right? So respiratory illnesses, things like asthma, bronchitis, pneumonia, even, sinus infections. Those are all things you would always cut dairy out for, not just during this season, but always. Dairy's thick and it's gunky, and it's one of the big ones. Gluten, dairy, sugar, gluten, dairy, sugar. Those are the top 3 white devils, I'm telling you right now, and they are creating inflammation in your body. And if you're eating those, you're eating a lot, you're very inflamed systemically. So eating well is a very big one for me. You want to get your body alkaline to build your immune system up. An alkaline environment, this virus doesn't live well in an alkaline environment, so it'll die to that. It just kills it. Basically, it does. But what are alkaline foods? How are you going to get yourself more alkaline? You're shooting for a pH of around 7. Now, I don't do pH strips. I don't do urine strips or any of that, but you can. And 7 is going to be about optimal. Foods that are going to make your body more alkaline and less acidic are going to be things like cruciferous vegetables, right? Broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. Those things are very alkaline, and they're also loaded with tons of antioxidants. So antioxidants are what mop up all the free radicals in your body, okay, and help you function better. That's one of the reasons vitamin C is such a big deal for this virus right now. You know, the CDC is saying we don't have a treatment really for it yet, confirmed, but vitamin C is one of the things that they've confirmed does help with this once you get this virus. We use a ton of it though to help build our immune system up and mop up free radicals, right? One ingredient foods. You want to decrease inflammation in your body by eating one ingredient foods. What does that mean? You're cooking from, I don't have any food in here. You're cooking cabbage, cauliflower, kale. Those are one ingredient foods, right? You go to the grocery and you pick up spinach and parsnips and turnips, and then you're cooking those things together. Again, if it's in a box, a bag, a can, it's creating inflammation. Just creating inflammation. During this time, for sure, you need to start cooking at home and you need to start experimenting. Angela, who's on here, says, you know, cooking is self-care. That's one of her things, and it is true. You know, I'm single, my kids are grown and all that, and I cook from home all the stinking time. One ingredient food, just popping food together, olive oil, salt, and pepper. There's not much that won't make taste amazing. Am I right, Angela? Yes, Annette, I am. So, I mean, you've got to start cooking. If you are visualizing your cabinets, if you open your cabinets, if we went to your kitchen right now and opened up the refrigerator, the freezer, the cupboards, if there's a lot of boxes, bags, cans, tubes, rolls, fake, man-made food in there, you're creating systemic inflammation and you are dampening your immune system. So we got to start eating real food. It's key, just real food. Shop around the edges. The farmers market's open tomorrow. If you live in Franklin, they actually are open tomorrow from 9 to 12. That's the best place, in my opinion, to get your food. And we need to start teaching our kids to cook. Am I right, Angela? That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Get those kids in the kitchen. Yes, Leanne?
Yes, for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Eat well. You just got to eat real food. It's just got to be real food. It's as simple as that. If those of you that follow me on Facebook and Instagram, I got my very first box yesterday of Misfits. Did anybody see that? Did anybody see my post last night? Okay. Of Misfits food. $31. Hey, Leanne, did you get the link to work?
I don't know yet. I ordered it and then it didn't look like the promo code went through, but I sent them a message, so I'll check and I'm sure they'll get back to me later today.
I got messages all night that people had ordered food. Misfits, what it is, it's ugly vegetables and fruits that can't make it to the grocery store, right? And so they're sold, they're all organic, non-GMO. And so I got a 21-pound box of organic, non-GMO fruits and vegetables yesterday for $31 that came. It's overnighted in, it was still cold. Unbelievable. That's a great way. I'd never cooked sunchokes. Those were in it last night. I cooked sunchokes last night. I mean, there's a huge parsnip. There were all kinds of things. You can just look at it online if you want. It was amazing. And I highly, highly recommend something like that if you're not open to, or if you can't get to the grocery, or if you live in a food desert, okay? Anything that's going to decrease inflammation food-wise, anti-inflammatory foods. The top ones, gluten, dairy, sugar, soy, corn, eggs, and peanuts. Eggs are very inflammatory to a lot of people. If you don't believe me, try cutting them out for 21 days and see what your inflammation go down, and then challenge it back in and see what happens. But not everybody, again, has an egg sensitivity. Eat well. You have to sleep well if you want to build your immune system up. Your body heals when you sleep. If you can't sleep, you can't heal. It's as simple as that. And if you sleep well, you have less inflammation in your body. If you have a bedroom full of electromagnetic fields in there, your cell phone is plugged in by your bed, it's not on airplane mode, and it's charging, it's creating tremendous amount of electromagnetic fields and disrupting your brain waves and your circadian rhythm. This right here is nothing but a lithium battery. And that's all it is. And if it is anywhere near your head, it's creating inflammation. And we know brain cancers are going through the roof because of phones on your head. Minimum 6 feet away. Your bedroom has got to be a sanctuary. No wireless router, no computer, no TV. The bedroom is for sleep and sex only. That's all you need to be doing in it. If you're not doing those two things, get out of it. All right. And you should be having a lot of sex during this time, by the way, too. Now, that's not official on decreasing inflammation, but why not? Heck, if we're stuck at home, somebody needs to be having sex. I don't have anything but an English bulldog at my house, so there's nobody to. So this is a good time to reconnect with your partner, by the way, for sure. But you got to sleep well. If you're not sleeping, you've got to do something to help you sleep, whether it's melatonin, which actually melatonin, the research shows, decreases inflammation in your body. Melatonin or some magnesium or some GABA or CBD oil, but you have got to get to sleep. And maybe you need bioidentical hormones. I don't know. But sleeping decreases inflammation. And you have to stay off of this phone and that computer before bedtime, at least an hour. And I know it's hard right now. We're all on there. Everybody's on there. But that's a huge one for decreasing inflammation. Eat well, sleep well, move well. You got to move your body. And I can tell by the way everybody's dressed, pretty much, people are moving their bodies. And it's important. You know, I'm a big believer. Dr. Daniel Amen, who's a world famous neurologist, he says, you know, for the very least, walk like you're late 45 minutes, 4 days a week. Bust it. 45 minutes, 4 days a week. You know, get your heart rate up. I'm a big believer in, you know, an hour. If you could get an hour, what do you think, Leanne, of moderate exercise, sweating?
Yeah, I mean, I think an hour is great. At least 3 times a week, ideally 5.
Yes, that's exactly right. We know what the research shows on decreasing inflammation and building your immune system up in your body. And just a side note, if anybody's having a period still, the more you exercise, the better your cramps get. I mean, it's the research shows that, and they do. Of course, you also have to take out the toxic tampons and pads, right? If you're using traditional, I always get to this. This is maddening to me that I put Roundup in my vagina for 30 years and nobody ever told me about it. I had no clue. I was putting weed killer and bleach in my vagina every single time I had a period. Cotton is the #1 most toxic crop in the United States. It has more Roundup on it than any other crop. And then they take that Roundup ready cotton and bleach it with Clorox bleach. And then we put it in our vagina every single month. If you have painful periods, infertility, PCOS, endometriosis, huge heavy clots and bleeding, you need to switch over to either a menstrual cup or organic pads or tampons today. It's huge. Just doing that one thing makes such a big difference in your inflammation in your body. I don't know. I never had bad cramps and all, but I mean, I was furious. I'm a nurse midwife. I was never told during nurse midwifery school that we were killing ourselves and our female organs every single month by doing that. Maddening to me. But move well. You've got to move your body. You got to sweat. Like right before this, I just did 10 minutes, just real fast. I walked as fast as I could, 10 minutes outside, just to kind of get my heart rate up a little bit. But the more you exercise, the inflammation goes down, unless you're very, very sick and you have some sort of horrible, very hard chronic disease. We know that you've got to honor your body. If you feel worse after you exercise and you have to go to bed and you're exhausted, then you've got the wrong kind of exercise going on there. You need to dampen it down. If you're a CrossFitter and you feel good initially and you've got a whole lot of endorphins going, but you got to go to bed for 2 hours, that's wrong. Then you need to transition over to something like yoga, right? Pilates, deep breathing, things like that. Nobody wants to just go from CrossFit to yoga. They think, oh, that's awful. Let me tell you, I taught yoga for 10 years. My yoga studio in Paducah, 20 years later, is still going strong in Paducah, Kentucky, that I started. Yoga has been around for over 2,000 years. There's a reason it's still around. CrossFit was not around 2,000 years ago. I can tell you that. Yeah, look, I see some head shaking. It's a fact. It works. And if you don't think you get a workout from yoga, then you've never been to the right yoga class, right? Yeah. So you got to move your body, right? You got to eat well, sleep well, move well, anything you can all day long. Look at those flabby arms. Good Lord, that's ugly. But anything you can do. Last night I was cooking. I had a big old pot of chicken and dumplings, and I took my lay crusade just like this, and I was just doing my chicken and dumplings. It was very dangerous, but over my head. Anything you can do to build it up every day. And then you got to poop well. Well, if you're not pooping, you're loaded with inflammation and your immune system is down. What you eat today should be 100% through your body tomorrow. If you're not pooping daily, if you have a provider who tells you, oh, it's okay to poop every 3 or 4 days, would you find a new provider? Because that is not okay. You are supposed to poop like your dog does. You know, your dog will eat and go and poop in about 20 minutes or maybe less. A human body should do that as well. Now everybody's just looking at me like flatlined over here. I'm a good pooper. Well, of course I was. I had IBS. I mean, all the time. Now it's a normal every, a couple of times a day. So you have to poop. Just imagine that. This is one big tube from the mouth all the way down to the anus. One big tube. You chew it and it comes here and it comes out there, and it should be out tomorrow. And if you're not a good pooper, then we need to figure out a way. Number one, you need to take one of Leanne's yoga classes, and you need to do a tremendous amount of twist, because I'm telling you, twist will wring it out, literally out of you. And you need to drink half your body weight in ounces in water daily. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you need 100 ounces of water. 130 pounds, you need 65 ounces of water. If you drink a lot of coffee, now this is tea, but it's got caffeine in it. If you drink tea and coffee, then you need to add another 8 ounces on that per glass, okay? So I'm 130, I need 65 ounces plus probably another 16 or 20 ounces a day, so somewhere around 80 or 90 ounces. That's huge to get you pooping, because when you're dehydrated, you can't just imagine, that's all just gunked up in there. So that's going to help build your immune system. If you can get your bowels moving well, you got to move. When you stop moving, you stop moving. Totally. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can't poop. Your body locks up. I mean, movement is key. Movement and exercise are the two key things. Movement and eating well are the two biggest things that you can do to build your immune system. And then you need to do everything in your power to decrease stress in your life. Lord, stress is, my hair's falling out right here in the middle, and I don't feel like nervous stress, but the stress of just trying to figure out how to make my business run during this time and all has been something. And apparently my hair's turning loose because of it. Thank God I've got a lot of hair, but stress will kill you. Stress raises inflammation. Stress raises something called cytokines in your body, which those are inflammatory markers. Whatever you can do to decrease stress, right? Whether it's, if you're a meditator, if you're a prayer, if you're one who digs deep into the Bible, yeah, absolutely. Your women's groups, things like that, whatever you can do to decrease stress. And I tell patients, and this is year round, not just now, if you're in a bad marriage, then you need to get that figured out. If you're in something really horrible at work, it's a bad situation, then leave the job. I mean, quit your job, find a new job. Nothing is worth dying over. I can tell you that. And the number one killer for women is heart disease. Number one. The number one killer is heart disease. And the number one time for a heart attack is Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Excuse me. What's that? We go to work Monday morning. So whatever you can do to decrease stress, stress builds inflammation. This is year round. And then cultivate community. Community is huge. In fact, probably community is up there with eating well and moving your body. The people who live the longest in this world, they eat a Mediterranean lifestyle. okay, which is huge. Those are the people in the blue zones for the most part. The people who live, they're centurions. They live past 100. They eat a Mediterranean lifestyle. And if anybody's ever been to Greece or Italy or Spain, what do they do at mealtime? They gather in community. They're not eating solo very often. Angela, am I correct? It's a huge community event. A meal is. You've got to have community, whether it's your yoga community like this, whether it's your Bible study, your Sunday school class, your, whatever it is you do, you volunteer somewhere. Community is key. We are the loneliest society we've ever had in the history of the world. And we have two extremes on the loneliness. The teenagers are really lonely. And the research shows, they are right here on this phone nonstop, and they're looking at things that are not real on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. They're lonely, they're isolated. And then your seniors, they're extremely lonely. Your teenagers and your seniors, and the seniors have a very, very high suicide rate. Actually, age 10 to 24 is the fastest growing suicide rate in the United States. Age 10 to 24. That's huge. So cultivating community is a big, big deal. And when you're laughing, when you're having fun, when you're gathering and you're acting crazy, whatever it is you're doing, you're decreasing inflammation in your body. It's important. Eat well, sleep well, move well, poop well, decrease stress, have community. I think those are huge, huge things year round that we can do to build our immune system up. And those are just like practical things to build your immune system up. I mean, I have a whole immune boosting protocol that I like if you're interested.
So what kind of things? I know I have flown a fair amount this year and been into your office multiple times to go get all the things. Will you talk a little bit about your immune boosting protocol? Because I've got all the sprays and
Yes, that's what
I show up with a whole bag of potions on the plane.
You bet. You remember those? There it is right there. It was probably 2 months ago, before we even heard of coronavirus. I had 4 flights, 4 conferences to go to in 4.5 weeks. And I bought a N95 respirator mask from Vogue Mask, and I shared it on Facebook, and everybody thought I lost my mind. I've never flown with a mask in my life, but I knew it was flu season. Didn't even know about coronavirus, and I knew I had to be well for the final flight, which was the biggest conference of the year that I go to, a functional medicine conference. So I started spraying everything in my nose and my throat, and I had my mask on and all basic stuff. Now, they say the mask really does not help much for coronavirus at all, because it can get in your eyes and your ears and things like that. So it's apparently not super protective for that. Basic stuff that I do all year long. Vitamin C, number 1. Is everybody taking vitamin C? It's the biggest, you bet. It's the biggest. Daily, all year long, take a minimum of 2,000 milligrams a day. Okay, 2,000. So that's 4 capsules for me. And I take two capsules twice a day. Now, here's the thing about vitamin C. For those of you that don't poop, this is the best. Now, it doesn't have to be my vitamin C here at the office. It can be any. At this point right now, because we have a national shortage of vitamin C, just get vitamin C in your body. I mean, there are different forms that I think are better than others, but right now, just get some C. Don't worry about whose it is or what it is. Vitamin C will help you poop. And the beauty of this is you take it until bowel tolerance. You can't overdose on vitamin C. It's a water-soluble supplement, meaning it's a water-soluble vitamin, meaning you're not going to overdose on it like you could vitamin D and A and E and K and iron. C, you'll just go until your body doesn't need it anymore. And when you start to have loose stools, just back off about 500 milligrams. All right. So it depends on what you can play around with it. But I have patients who take 9,000 milligrams a day of vitamin C and they don't have diarrhea. Well, what that tells me is their adrenals are really stressed. then, because vitamin C is stored in our adrenal glands. We're the only mammals who do not make vitamin C, but we store it right back here in the back on top of our kidneys in our little bitty adrenal glands like that. And the more vitamin C you tolerate without diarrhea, that tells me that you need some adrenal support to boost your adrenals up. And of course, adrenals get really taxed during a season like this when we're under stress. So you want to support your adrenals gently all year long. I do. Vitamin C, big one for building your immune system. Remember, this is an antioxidant, so it mops up all the free radicals in your body. Some sort of, what I recommend is biocidin. And if you're looking at people's protocols online and all the webinars that are up there, biocidin and colloidal silver are the two, and vitamin C are probably the three that are staples on every single functional medicine doctors and providers protocol. This has been in my toolbox for probably 3 or 4 years, and it should have been in there for the last 20. Biocidin is a company that makes only herbal, phenomenal concoctions. And biocidin is an antiviral, which this is a virus, not a bacteria. Remember, viruses and bacteria act differently in your body. Viruses are teeny tiny little particles. Bacteria is bigger ones. This is a antiviral, antibacterial, and antifungal. And it's just like that, spray at the back of the throat, 3 or 4 sprays, 2 or 3 times a day. That's a big one that I use, especially if I'm traveling, but right now. And then colloidal silver. Those are this colloidal silver. Has anybody ever used colloidal silver ever? Okay. Colloidal silver has been around again for eons and eons. It's an antifungal, antibacterial, viral. My office manager has used this spray right here in your nose for probably 2 years. I've never used it until I got off on my big 4 flights in 4 weeks kind of thing. Well, come to find out, it kills it's a viral killer. So it's one of the big protocols that they have out there for this COVID-19 specifically. Unfortunately, it's on back order nationwide. I mean, in the spray bottle, because guess what? This is made in China. The top part is, not the colloidal silver. This is. So you can just get your colloidal silver and put it in a spray bottle and spray it up your nose. We have the colloidal silver, we just don't have the sprays anymore. Those are 3 things that are huge to build your immune system up. And then D3, does everybody take vitamin D3? Yeah, it's a big one. And I don't test one patient as a nurse practitioner, truly, who's not taking D3, who has a normal vitamin D3. We don't make it naturally. So all of you that are sitting outside watching this, that is the perfect thing. You really need to have your clothes off though. What the research shows is that you have to be out in the sun a minimum of 45 minutes, 7 days a week with no clothes on or very little clothing on in order to really, really, really metabolize the D3. Well, who the heck can do that? I mean, the neighborhood associations, although it looks like y'all kind of live in the woods, several of you, so maybe you could do that. But in my neighborhood, they'd have a heart attack if I did something like that. So you got to get out, you got to get some sun, but you need to take a vitamin D3, at least 5,000 international units a day. 5,000 is a good little basic, but this is not something you want to take long-term without having your healthcare provider check your levels, because you can get too much D3, okay? But it's a big one for your immune system, for sure. And then I'm sure many of you use essential oils. Okay, so I'm a Young Living girl. My office manager is a doTERRA. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I use Thieves. She uses On Guard. So this office smells like a combination of Young Living and doTERRA all the time, because I'm spraying Thieves everywhere. She's spraying On Guard. I don't care. But Thieves or On Guard is one of the greatest antivirals, and I put Thieves in my water every day all year long, and I just drink it like this. And if I'm sick or think I'm going to get sick, you can put your On Guard, you know this, if y'all are oil people, on the bottom of your feet, and put your socks on and sleep. And then I do it during the day sometimes as well. Those are like the real basics. Are you all taking supplements? Okay, good. Vitamin C, biocidin that's in the throat, because remember, this is a respiratory illness. We're talking build your immune system up year round, but also COVID-19. This is a respiratory illness. And what it does is it attacks the lungs, right? But what it does that by making the mucus thicker and thicker and thicker, and we can't break it down. And that's where we are literally drowning. The patients are in their mucus. And so anything you can do to decrease the mucus in there, things like the colloidal silver and the Argentine 23, anything that you can get in your throat, gargling every day, drinking hot liquids. So we know if we will drink hot lemon water, hot tea, hot coffee, just hot water all day, hot apple cider vinegar. Oh, I don't know, I couldn't do that, but anything hot all day long to keep the mucus secretions broken down. That's easy and that's free. If you didn't have a penny, you could just heat up hot water and drink it all day to thin the mucus secretions. And gargling. If you have a neti pot, use your neti pot. They drive me crazy. I can't do it. I try it. I've had one for 15 years and I just don't care for it. So I'd rather shoot colloidal silver in my nose. I actually saw one of the functional medicine providers the other day said Afrin, which is interesting because we don't recommend Afrin, but Afrin kills everything, clearly, because it burns like hell when you put it in your nose. Have you ever sprayed Afrin in your nose? I mean, there's nothing left in there once you do it. I did not have Afrin. I went out and bought some Afrin when I saw Dr. Bergston talked about it. And she said, you know, if you just spray a day, she doesn't have any, this is anecdotal. So we don't have like randomized trials on this, but it makes perfect sense because it opens up those passages in there and it cleans out everything. So possibly, don't go out telling everybody I'm saying to use Afrin because I don't recommend Afrin at all, but it's just like yesterday, me coloring my own hair. I've never done that in my life. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Do what you can do. Lord, that was terrible. Another thing you need to do, and I hope y'all are doing this, if you've been in public, get your clothes off the second you get to the house. Immediately. Take your clothes off at the door. It lives on your clothes. It lives in your hair. This is the first time that I have had my hair down in probably 2 weeks. And those of you that are on our Facebook group and Instagram, I have had this hair pulled back as tight as I could for 2 weeks and tucked up and all of that because it lives in all of this. And it lives for hours and hours. It lives on metal surfaces for 9 hours, at least 9 hours. We know that. So clean all that thieves, all that On Guard, hydrogen peroxide, we know breaks down viruses. I made a delivery to Health and Wellness this morning, and that's a pharmacy in Nashville, compounding pharmacist. Dr. Mark Binkley came out and we were like, 10 feet apart. Mark said that he got a prescription called in yesterday from a functional medicine provider in California for a patient. He was nebulizing medical grade hydrogen peroxide, nebulizing just like this for the patient to help prevent this because hydrogen peroxide kills everything. It's the first time he's had that prescription. I said, wow, I don't know what we can do with hydrogen peroxide, but if you clean with it, it kills pretty much everything. We use it in the hospitals and stuff for everything. So I would be getting some hydrogen peroxide cleaner as well, or buying cheapo hydrogen peroxide and cleaning with it as well. Of course, don't smoke ever. Good Lord, this is a respiratory disease. Don't smoke. If you're smoking or juuling, I'm sure all of y'all got your jewels laid out there. You're yeah, you're just waiting to get, I wish she'd shut up so I can vape right now. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's terrible for your lungs, right? And again, if symptoms start, so what's the very first symptom of this disease? For most people is a glass throat, just like glass shards in the throat is what they're saying. Just, it hurts so bad. And then a fever. Of course, your fever is your body telling you, oh gosh, there's a virus that's in here. The body attacks a virus and a bacterial infection the same way, by creating a fever, right? And so fever is a good thing, but that should be your first sign, is a fever and a scratchy throat. And if that happens, for darn sure you start getting all your hot stuff, you know, drinking it and cutting out dairy 100%.
So Dani, there's that other spray that you guys have that tastes like melted vanilla ice cream.
Yes, Immuno PRP. It's in there. It's in the supplement store right now. I totally forgot. That's my other one. I forgot to bring it. I was looking here thinking something is missing, because I have 3 sprays. I have a nose spray and 2 throat sprays. And the second throat spray is colostrum, liquid colostrum. For those of you that breastfed your babies, you know that is the liquid gold, right? That's what comes out of the breast the first 2-3 days before the actual milk comes in. And that's what seals the immune system for the baby. It starts to seal the immune system for the baby, and it helps heal the gut lining. We have organic, grass-fed cows from Bolivia or Argentina or something, wherever they're less stressed and they don't have all the stress the American cows do. We have an amazing PRP colostrum spray, and it's phenomenal for your immune system. And we've got the little bottles in stock right now. The big ones are on back order. They should be here next week, but the little one will be enough to get you through this season. Yeah, that stuff's good. And it tastes like a vanilla milkshake or melted vanilla ice cream or something. Yeah.
Thank you. My daughter was giving that to her friends. They came over and she was telling them that I had like some magic thing against COVID-19. And so she was dosing them all up on everything. And giving them that. She's like, it tastes just like vanilla ice cream. It's perfect here.
It does. It's good. It's good for your immune system. Yes.
What about oregano oil? What do you think about
Oregano is phenomenal. That's in our wellness formula that we use. And oregano is, so if you've got essential oils, if you're an oil person, phenomenal. Get it on the bottom of your feet, put it in your water with your thieves or your doTERRA and drink it. You can put it in your tea, even it doesn't taste good though. Most people don't ever swallow oregano. One time, and they don't ever do it again. Yeah, it's in, we use it. It's any of your really, really good immune building formulas will always have things like oregano, echinacea, elderberry, olive leaf extract. Now I have a whole protocol. Those of you that know me know, but I was trying to just dumb it down enough to where people wouldn't get, not dumb it down, but you know what I mean? Make it to where you could do 3 or 4 things that would really boost your immune system. Olive leaf, oregano, and echinacea are 3 incredible things to boost your immune system.
I had heard somewhere, and I don't recall where, that elderberry is actually contraindicated for.
Say that. Yeah, it's not. Okay, so here's the thing, and I was so glad I listened to a Zoom call 2 nights ago of 5 different functional medicine providers. And that question came up, and I was glad to hear them all say what I thought. The benefits far outweigh the risks on elderberry, far outweigh. So what the people are saying, and we don't have solid evidence on elderberry increasing a cytokine storm, and that's what we were talking about earlier, is increasing your cytokines. That increases inflammation in your body. 1 tablespoon of elderberry a day is going to have far more benefits than it is risk. So I wouldn't worry about if you've got a good quality elderberry. I would take my elderberry.
Okay, great. And you talked about increasing alkalinity in the body. And what do you think about wheatgrass to help increase alkalinity?
Yeah, it's a green. I love it. Yeah, I don't drink a lot of wheatgrass, but yes, I have no problem. Do you do it yourself? Or do you know,
I cheat a little bit. There's a company called Dynamic Greens in Canada, and they grow it in the ground. So the problem with the trays is a lot of times the trays end up with mold.
Yes.
And so if you buy it at a juice bar, a lot of times it has almost like a bitter, funky taste, almost like stale. But Dynamic Greens, they ship it to you on dry ice or in ice packs. It's in these plastic like containers, almost like a Ziploc bag that's perforated. And so it's like little ice cubes. So I take them, break them up, put them in the freezer, and then take out 2 to 6, depending on what I want. Reconstitute it with a little bit of water and put it in a mason jar and shake it up. And then just drink it that way.
And it tastes good.
It does. It does. I'll bring you some sometime.
Any wheatgrass I've ever had, I've always had that bitter taste in it. And I'm like, I don't know why people love this, but you think, you know, oh, it's good for you. But you know, it's got to be organic. It cannot be wheatgrass like sprayed with glyphosate. And I think that, you know, people drink these green juices. I make a ton of green. I just drank my green juice this morning from home. But man, you can't be using, you know, glyphosate Roundup Ready vegetables and greens to make your green juice. And just can't. I mean, glyphosate is the devil, in my opinion. Yeah.
Right. I think that's a big thing, is a lot of times too, is people, if they buy conventional produce thinking I'm going to make this great green juice, they don't know that there's still residue on the outside or wax or whatever it is. And then they juice it.
You bet.
And they're getting all of that.
That's right. And for those of you that don't know about the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, that is hands down from the Environmental Working Group, the EWG.org. So it's EWG.org, environmentalworkinggroup.org is the leader in fighting for you all and all of us on clean things. They put out every single year in April, so it'll be out next month, the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. The Dirty Dozen are the top 12 most toxic Roundup Ready pesticide-laden foods in the United States. The Clean 15 are the cleanest 15 that are not organic, that have less chemicals on them. And they have a free app on your phone called the Dirty Dozen, and you just pop it on your phone if you forget, and you pull it up when you're at the grocery. What are the top 12? Now, I don't have them off the top of my head memorized, but strawberries are number one. Toxic, most toxic. Strawberries, spinach, apples, grapes. Now, what do we feed our kids? Strawberry, apples, grapes, right? Spinach, potatoes. They're under the ground. They're horrible. They're just soaked up with Roundup, just all down in there. Red peppers, like as in bell peppers, red, green, yellow, those peppers. Peaches. What else is on there? Cherries. What else is on there?
Anything with a soft skin, anything with a delicate.
What'd you say?
Celery.
Celery, yes, right, celery. And look at all these people on their celery juicing kicks right now. They're all juicing celery juice, and they're just putting nothing but Roundup and pesticides in their body. Those are the Dirty Dozen. The Clean 15 are all the thicker skin things like avocados, bananas, papayas, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts and cabbage are all on there. And just like humans, bugs don't eat those foods as much as humans do. I mean, as much as we do, right? They'd rather eat a peach any day over a head of cabbage. So they have way less pesticides on them. So that is so important. And I wish I would have known that when I was raising my kids. I wish I'd known about I wish I knew the word glyphosate when my kids were born 23 and 24 years ago. I didn't know better.
One of the things that we found out when my husband had cancer is we had an apple farmer, and he wasn't organic, but I asked him a lot of questions. And what he said is, you need to understand that every time I have to spray something, it costs me money. So I try to do all of the natural things I can as possible, and that there's a large cost associated with being a certified organic farm. And if there's a non-organic farm within a certain radius, they can't get that designation.
That's probably true. Yeah, there's a huge cost associated with that. I think at the Franklin Farmers Market, and I may be wrong about this, there's only 2 that are certified organic. They have the green seal. That would be Delvin Farms and Bloomsbury Farm. Now, I may be wrong, and so if I am, correct me on that. The rest of them use organic practices, right? But they don't. But it's not certified. Like Curtview, I buy a lot of things from Curtview, and they use organic practices, but they're not technically organic. I mean, it's $100,000. I don't know. It's outrageous to be certified organic. They don't make it easy for us to eat well. And that's why I love that Misfit box I got yesterday. That's $31 of organic and non-GMO foods. And it's huge. I mean, that costed me $60 easy at Whole Foods, what I
Did
got
you get
yesterday.
is that the big box you got or the smaller box?
The big box because I split it with Jackson, my son. Ella works at Whole Foods, so she gets her stuff at a discount. So I split it with Jackson. But yeah, so building up your immune system. What else? So here's the thing. Are you all, I mean, I don't know if y'all are off work right now or if you don't work generally during the day, you know, if you have an outside job outside the home. I think there are lots of great things that are going to come from this. And I think that now this is my belief, and I know Angela's a believer, but I sent out a newsletter this week and I was expecting to get some blowback on this, because I get some nasty messages sometimes I say things. I think that this is a huge wake-up call for all of us worldwide. And I think God gets your attention one way or the other, you know, and when we're not listening, when we're going around a wrong path, I know I can only speak from personal experience, he will knock you to the ground to get your attention, because I'm horrible at not listening to God. Well, I'm better now because I've gotten knocked down way too many times, but I'm just telling you, he's trying to get our attention, and he is, and we need to right this ship that we have, as in decreasing stress, you know, not overextending ourselves. I mean, we are so overcommitted, it's not even funny. And I think this is a great time to be able to pull back, drone down on your life, and just say, holy cow, what can I eliminate, automate, and delegate out of my life, you know, and set some margin in my life, because we don't have any margin. And we're proving that now as people are panicking and anxiety attacks and all these things. I mean, we're so used to being busy. I know I'm not used to being able to take an hour off in the middle of the day and do something like this. And it's ramping up a lot of anxiety. I think that during this time, we need to reevaluate a whole lot of things. And I think we also need to be cleaning our house and doing the things that we don't want to do, but, you know, really reevaluating. And as my friend Michael Hyatt tells me all the time, he's like, Dani, where's the margin in your life? Where's the margin? You know, and if we don't have any margin, you just don't have any life. And when things go sideways, man, you're just turned upside down. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So we have a couple questions that people are curious about. So someone had a question about vitamin C. They're somebody who has rheumatoid arthritis, and the rheumatologists say not to take it because their method is not about immune system boosting. So what do you think about that?
Well, I have a rheumatologist. I've had lupus since my 30s, and he's never told me anything like that. I mean, I use a lot of vitamin C every day, so I can't speak to what he's saying because I don't know. I don't know what he's exactly referring to, but vitamin C is a naturally occurring vitamin C. You know, I mean, I don't really know what he's saying there. So again, if you're super, super high doses, maybe he's thinking it can create inflammation, because autoimmune disease, clearly your immune system is turned on, right? It's a little more ramped up than the average person there. So I don't know what he's speaking to. I know for my autoimmune patients, because Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, Crohn's disease, all of those, eczema, psoriasis, those are all autoimmune diseases. Vitamin C is usually a piece of an immune protocol. So I don't know that answer. I would take a low dose vitamin C. Somebody said something about combating seasonal allergies in a natural way. You bet. Eliminating the food sensitivities, because that's going to decrease inflammation, right? And then things like, what are the best natural ways for allergies? Quercetin, vitamin C, stinging nettle, N-acetylcysteine, and bromelain. Those are 5 things. That's what's in our A&I that we use here. I don't know if any of you have used that supplement. That I've used that for 10 years with patients. It's called A&I. And it's that 5 combinations. That is an unbelievable all natural antihistamine. That's what seasonal allergies are a histamine release. So we use that product, which has those 5 in it, you could go find those 5 separately. And then we also decrease histamine foods in our body. And what foods create a lot of histamine? Avocados, spinach, tomatoes, vinegars, kombucha. Kombucha is one of the biggest ones for a histamine response in your body. If you think you have histamine issues in your body, stop drinking kombucha. If you drink it often, you'll see your histamine symptoms go down. Leftovers are one of the highest things in histamine. So patients who have true histamine intolerance, they cannot eat leftovers at all. And that's part of seasonal allergies. So the second they cook their food, they have to freeze their food right then. Cook it, freeze it. You eat your meal and then you freeze it, because histamine grows on leftovers. Just a little nugget there.
So there's a question about organic food, no bags, cans, boxes. What about frozen veggies if they're organic?
Perfect. Those are great. Now, I don't know what that question is, but how is that not considered dairy? I don't know what that comment was referring to.
That was
Dairy
for the
colostrum.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The casein has been taken out of it.
Okay.
Taken out of it. So I have a dairy sensitivity, dairy, gluten, beans, cashews, and for crying out loud, eggs. But I can use the colostrum because the casein's been taken out.
And I had, when Dani did my food sensitivities, the whole thing lit up like Christmas. Other than gluten, cheese, and chocolate, basically. And I was sat in her office about in tears and said, what am I supposed to do?
No, it's terrible. For me, the dairy is the hardest thing to cut out. Gluten was easier. You know, there's no gluten in anything that's fresh food. It's not in it. It's not in one ingredient food. Gluten was only originally in 3 things naturally: barley, wheat, and rye. Those are the 3 things when when Jesus walked this earth, 3 things. He had 3 strands of wheat, 3. As Americans, we have 25,000 strands of hybridized wheat in the United States, 25,000 that have been bred with, no pun intended, with high gluten content. Gluten means glue. So it sticks everything together, makes things fatter, fluffier, and softer, which is what it's done to the United States population. It's in everything processed, packaged, bag, your salad dressings, your soups, your soy sauce. All of your soy sauce, unless it says gluten-free, has wheat paste in it. So, you know, you think you're doing great and you're getting an organic soy sauce maybe, and then you're loaded up with gluten as well. Yeah, gluten's a huge inflammatory food. One of the worst, actually. Oh, rheumatologists, they told me, I didn't see this up, but they told me to decrease my vitamin C intake since building my immune system meant increasing my RA. Okay, so rheumatoid arthritis, attacking my joints. Can you speak to that? I don't know how much you were taking, but I'm telling you right now, 2,000 milligrams a day is usually the standard dose for vitamin C. Where's Valerie? Raise your hand. RA. Okay, all right. I just don't really have anybody react to 2,000 milligrams a day of plain, inexpensive ascorbic acid. That's just the cheap buffered vitamin C. Frozen blueberries, yeah, if they're organic, absolutely. Blueberries are sprayed a lot because they're sweet and bugs like a lot of blueberries. I think frozen food is phenomenal if you can get, because they flash freeze it like that. It's not like it's sitting around forever and then they freeze it. They pick it and freeze it. So if you get a good company that's organic, I think it's totally fine to have frozen food.
Dani, thank you so much. I want to honor your time. I know you've been with us a long time and I appreciate it. I appreciate your knowledge and everything you do in the community. Can you tell us how we can follow up with you? I know, but your Sunday night service, your website, what else?
Sunday night service, we're talking clean crafted organic wine this week. I am so tired of talking things that are stressful. We're straight to the wine bottle and we're talking about clean crafted wine. Did you know your wine is loaded? We eat all these organic blueberries, for crying out loud. We change out our tampons to get Roundup out of our vaginas, and then we drink wine that is loaded with Roundup and a sugar donut, a jelly donut's worth of sugar in every bottle of wine, right? And we get all these pesticides and sulfites and all that in. So we're talking clean crafted wine on Sunday night service this Sunday night. But for those of you that don't get our newsletter, Dani Williamson, it's real simple, DaniWilliamson.com. You just go to DaniWilliamson.com and it's at the very top and you sign up for the newsletter. We send out a newsletter every week or two during this season, and it tells you how to get in touch with us. Dani Williamson Wellness, Dani Williamson Wellness, Dani Williamson Wellness. That's the same on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Every single Sunday night service that I do on Facebook Live is on our YouTube channel. So you can follow that. If you don't have Facebook, you can follow that YouTube channel, subscribe to it. We have a Sunday night service. Dr. Motley and I, Chris Motley, have a Sunday night service on everything from low testosterone, why people don't want to have sex, to anxiety, to electromagnetic fields, Lyme disease, depression. I mean, you name it, we talk about it on there, don't we, Leanne?
Yeah.
There's a ton of stuff. And it's live every Sunday night. So if you just wanted to watch it live on Sunday night, that's on Facebook at Dani Williamson Wellness, if you'll just follow that group. But we have a book coming out this summer. So that's why we would love to have you on the email list, so you know when it comes out. And it's a book on being wild and well health-wise, you know. So we haven't decided the title yet, but somehow something about being wild and well, and my 6 steps to radical health. I don't know. It's going to be something with this hair, and it's going to be very all about my 6 steps to healing, and it goes into serious detail on ways to decrease inflammation in your body, because the root of every single chronic disease, and we don't say that in medicine. You never say every or always or never in medicine. Every lifestyle chronic disease we now know has a root of an inflammatory response, inflammation. And so inflammation is the devil, hands down it is. And when you decrease inflammation, you increase your immune system and you decrease your whatever it is going on in your body. Joint pain, your fibromyalgia, your migraine headaches, your anxiety, your whatever, gut issues. So the whole book is on decreasing inflammation in your body. Common sense, practical ways, because I'm just a little girl from Gilbertsville, Kentucky, who's the biggest redneck you've ever seen in your life, who happens to do a job that I absolutely love and have been blessed to be able to help a lot of people through the years. So it's just common sense, man, dumbed it down so that even I could understand it. This is the kind of book it is. So thank you.
Oh, we can't wait for that. We will make sure. We'll put all the links in our group, and then we'll also put the replay so people can hear this.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for taking an hour out in the middle of the day. It's gorgeous out there. Get outside or stay outside. Those of you that are already outside. That's right. Thank you, ma'am.
Smart ones. Thanks so much. Bye for now.
Thanks, Leanne.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thanks all.